Thank you, Sarah. And as I mentioned, it's really taken an incredible partnership on the public sector side to take us this far, and there's a lot of great promise as we move forward, and it's my great pleasure now to welcome the mayor of the city of Pittsburgh, Ed Gainey.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. How you doing? It's a great way to start off a week to talk about the need for diversity in the city of Pittsburgh. What a great way to start off a week. But before I start, I want to recognize Tim Stevens, not just for the day, not just for his 12 years, but for his lifetime commitment uplifting the African American community in the city of Pittsburgh. I think that a lot of times. I think a lot of times we overlook that, and I think that because someone does it for a number of years, that we end up taking it for granted and not understanding the painstaking commitment that it takes to want to lift your community and city up every single day, to face adversity, not with the courage to run, but the courage to stand. And so because of that, I would like for everybody to give Tim a standing ovation for his years of service. Come on, come on. We can do better than that. Come on, come on. Yeah, it takes a lot of work to be able to put this on over and over and over again. Because a lot of times when you're doing something like this, people get institutionalized as this is the way we've always done business. But I always tell people it's not the people, it's the system. The system is designed to give us the outcome that we want the system to give us. And in that, if it's not inclusive, it will leave some people out. And for decades and decades and decades, it has left the African American community out. And how do we know this? We have no middle-class black neighborhoods. We have hardly no commercial businesses in the city that reflect African Americans' culture. And so when you look at it from that perspective, it's not by accident, it's by design of a system that has been required to keep us out. When I took office, it didn't come as a shock to me, but I was always surprised. 90% of our prime contractors, 90%. Now you just heard me say we don't have a black middle-class neighborhood, a black middle-class, I mean black Latino neighborhood, middle-class neighborhood. Listen what I'm saying. 90% of our prime contractors went to white contractors. 90%. Now, if you think that's an accident, something wrong not with me, but with your thinking. Because at the end of the day, you would be telling me things that we know are not true because we see them in other cities. When I was coming up in this business before I became mayor, I used to hear this quite frequently. And it used to bother me, but I didn't have the power nor authority to do anything about it. So you have to sit in rooms and accept it because you don't have a platform to be able to speak on it. Because you ain't running nothing. I wasn't running anything. And so they would say things like, we can't find no black qualified contractors. We can't find no black qualified workers. Then I would see some African American companies and individuals and nonprofits come to these mayor's office and have good proposals. How did I know they was good when I was still in the student game of learning? It's because I would see some white contractors, nonprofits come down with very similar ideas, and it was amazing how funding was located. So when I say that in order to have a city for all, you have to have access for all. And if we don't have access for all, then we got status quo, meaning the city will continue to grow old and not grow up because it's not inclusive enough or design a system that says you're welcome here. In 1 year, for the first time in the history of this city, 1 year, and that's what I mean by changing the system. For the first time in the history I said, and I'm not saying this to brag because really we should be saddened by it. For the first time, we have 3 black prime contractors on major development projects. For the first time in 1 year, we did it. If we accomplished that in 1 year, then why couldn't they accomplish it in the history of this city? They didn't want to. They didn't want to. There's no other reason. We can make up a million excuses, but there's no reason. I told my team that we have to make sure that we're diversified in all aspects of our work, because you can't grow a city unless you are. And that's why you hear me give Tim a lot of credit on this, because he's been speaking on it for quite some time. 12 years doesn't do service because he's been speaking on it longer than 12 years. So, just to stand here and say we in our 12th annual conference is beautiful, but the reality is we should have put him out of business already. And the fact that we're still here speaks volumes. We had to re-examine everything, each step. We've done something that's not been done in this city. We've increased our MWBDE goals by 30%. 30%. 30%. We clap, but again, that should have been done. Should have been done. And I think that a lot of times in this city, I don't think I know, that a lot of times in this city, we don't get to network with people that have the money, the resources. A silo city don't eat at the same spots they eat in. A silo city don't go to the same spots that they go into. And as long as we remain siloed, we can't grow. But it's not for the minority community to say, how do I get in? It's for the majority of the community to say, you're welcome in. And now we want to make sure that we have a city for all. A city in which every ethnic group can see themselves in our city. If culture is money, don't divide us, include us. I see a change happening in this city. This city is pregnant with potential. It's pregnant right now with potential. That's why the pain is so strong. When I see vibrant Pittsburgh, it's a vibrant thing. When I see Tally, when I see Tim, when I see organizations that are working together to ensure that inclusion is not a sexy topic, but a concrete effort to demonstrate to the world that we are a global economy that is welcoming in the position that we're in for all ethnic groups. It starts here domestically if we want the outside to come in. We can't continue to do business as usual. I tell people all the time, I'm excited about being mayor right now, even though sometimes the weight is heavy. I knew the weight would be heavy being the first African-American mayor. But it multiplied because we've had a lot of people hold this position as mayor, but very few that had to lead coming out of a pandemic. Very few. But I told them, I was trained in the wilderness. So every problem I have brings a promise of a better tomorrow because it gives me something to train for. So I never looked at problems anymore in my life as being problems I don't want to see. And because we're the first African American and the expectations are so high, I already knew we could never kick the can down the street, that every issue that it was brought up, we had to address, because they would love to say we incompetent and can't handle the situation. But what they don't know, they should have kept me in the wilderness, because once you let me train in situations that was more powerful than the pandemic, I lived in the pandemic my whole life. Bringing downtown together wasn't a big deal to me. It's what had to happen for everybody to fit in the role so that they could play their role to help redevelop downtown. Now we got a chance to reimagine downtown. What amazes me is you hear people say, wow, downtown is still bad. It don't look like it looked when I took over. If we want to be real, they said homicides in my first year was out of control. Like it had been the worst the city has ever seen. But I understood that. Now it's down 27%. Youth homicides is down 11%. Can they understand that? They said we wouldn't increase MBE. We done it. And now we are embarking on something that is a little bit stronger. And I want to see how many corporate and nonprofit businesses will support us. We're doing a diversity study. We're preparing it now, because we haven't had one since 1990. You do the math. How can a city grow with no strategic plan of growth? We're going to partner with Vibrant Pittsburgh. We're Sabrina. Thank you. The reason why we wanted to partner is because it's more than government. It's more than government. It's all of us. And we're not doing this to embarrass corporations or nonprofits. I don't want to do that. It's not my goal. My goal is to say we got to start somewhere. Stop talking to me about how important diversity is to you. Show me. Join this team, and let's find out what your diversity numbers look like in all corporations, in all nonprofits, in all government agencies. Not as an embarrassment, but as a starting point to say, listen, now that we have come together in a collaborative spirit, let's find out what is the plan to ensure that in 5 years you doubled your diversity numbers, in 10 years you tripled your diversity numbers, because in that, then organizations like Tally, organizations like Tim will be able to put African Americans and other ethnic groups in leadership positions, so that people just don't see what's white, but see what's right by seeing their culture included in this city. That's the change we need. So if you belong to a corporation or a nonprofit, ask them if they're willing to join in to help us grow. Status quo don't grow, and microwave meals is only good for food. I need you to help us grow. And in order to do that, we need corporations, nonprofits, and any other form of business to join this diversity study. Again, let me clarify, it is not to embarrass you. I couldn't be standing here because I'd have been embarrassed of the city's numbers. But we went first. We went first. So since I went first, I can ask everybody to join in. And so as I close, I want to close with this. I need everybody to remove barriers. I need everybody. And if we don't remove barriers, we can't grow in this city. And downtown is a prime example. We got a lot. And that's why I'm glad I got a partner in Sarah Anamorata. Because I wanted someone that understood the suffering of humanity in order to get the prosperity of joy. And I know that she does. We were doing great. 2nd Avenue was moving, and then it catches on fire. You understand what I'm saying? And now we got to go back to the drawing boards and make sure that we get it up in time. Now we got to find a place for the homeless. If you only looking at me and Sarah to come up with the answer, then that's not support. I've told you when I ran for mayor, I don't need your support. I need your commitment. See, that means if I got your support and it rained, you may show up. But if I got your commitment, I automatically got your support. And in order to grow this region, we need that. Thank you.